Guys, let's have a little fun with photography. I'm going to show you some basic everyday objects, and you're going to tell me what they are.
Ooh, cool.
Picture number 1. Tell me what this is, guys. It's an everyday object.
That is the end of a barbecued rib.
A candle wick.
All right, you're both wrong. It's the stem of a pear.
Wow.
All right, here's the next one. How about this? What do you got? What do you got for me?
Ooh.
Oh, it's like a postage sort of stamp or some sort of thing.
No, it is a napkin.
You are both wrong. It's money. This one's easy. Tell me what this is, guys.
A shoelace?
I'm gonna guess an eraser.
You're wrong. Shoelace was sort of close, Ollie.
Oh, wow. This is so fascinating. Keep going. That's a ruler.
You are correct. You got that one right. And finally,
Ooh, a loofah.
close enough, a sponge, yeah. This pretty fascinating video put together and posted on the Macrofying YouTube channel. Clearly what you're seeing are images shot with a macro lens. Pretty fascinating how they change so much when you're zoomed in on them. Pretty incredible photography work.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight on Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. I had always loved Horizon. I had always thought, just a distant dream was if Michael Grant ever leaves Horizon, that'd be something I would like to do. Never thinking he would ever leave. He was here for 25 years. I thought he would never leave.
Good evening, I'm Michael Grant.
I was working at KTAR as a talk show host and news kind of a anchor guy in the afternoons over at KTAR, and my contract was coming up. Mike Sauceda, who worked over at KTAR, kind of told me, hey, Michael Grant's leaving on Horizon. And we gave it a couple of run-throughs, and it worked out very well. Joining me now to talk about Glendale's preparations for Super Bowl 2008 is Glendale Mayor Elaine Scruggs. Mayor, good to have you on Horizon.
Thank you, Ted. It's wonderful to be here, and especially it's really a privilege and an honor to be here the first night with you as the permanent host of Horizon.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. I would describe Arizona Horizon as a program that speaks in paragraphs as opposed to sentences. We take issues and we flesh them out. It's not a soundbite. It's not, flash and dash. It's not hit and run. If it involves public policy, if it involves science, if it involves art, if it involves government, and variety of things, we talk about it. I was always interested in journalism. As a kid, I would pretend to read the news. You know how kids do. They grab Time magazine and they sit in front of the coffee table and they read. I was Walter Cronkite, back as a kid. So I did all that kind of stuff. I didn't study journalism. I was a political science major, Arizona State University, proud political science graduate. I used to, before the Cronkite School, I used to tell students all the time that the best way to get into journalism was to not necessarily go to journalism school, was to go to English, study English or sociology, political science, history, because that teaches you how to learn to read and to write and to think. And those things will help you no matter what job you get into. My first job was at KAET Television in Tempe, Arizona. And they had a volunteer system back in those days. And the students would sign up to volunteer for a semester, and you'd come in. And I worked my way up through production to where I was directing pledge breaks and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed it. And so when I got a job at Channel 5 on their production crew, their weekend sportscaster came to me one day and said, I know you're interested in maybe doing this kind of thing. I'm leaving. And so I gave it a shot. They gave it to someone else. I was 21. That's, let's face it, I was too young to be on the air. That person didn't realize that you had to actually work to be a sportscaster. And so after one weekend, he was out, and I got a call on a Friday night from the news director at Channel 5 saying, you want to come in tomorrow night and do sports? And I said, sure. And so I had to go buy a jacket, I had to go buy a nice shirt, had to go buy a tie. My hair was long. I didn't get a chance to get that cut. But that's how it started over at Channel 5 as a weekend sportscaster, which I did for the following 8 years. I prepare for an interview by learning as much as I can about the topic, knowing that I have that in the background. Not to impress you with everything that I know. You need a foundation. I'm looking for a foundation for the interviews. And so when I do research before the interviews, I need that foundation to make sure that we go in the right directions. Every interview is absolutely different. You have to massage a little here, a little this way. You got to push them out this way, put them, everyone is different and every conversation is different. Just think about conversations. Every conversation you have with someone is different and unique in its own way. And it's the same way with interviews. The best interviews, though, the absolute best interviews are mostly because they're good guests. A good guest is someone who listens to the question, who not only answers the question, but adds to the answer and makes it conversational and makes it relevant and makes it something that we can talk about, knowing that whoever's watching can kind of eavesdrop and go, interesting. That's a good point that person made. Al Franken was a really great guest, and we did an event at the Orpheum Theater with Al Franken, and that was one of the highlights of my career because a couple thousand people there, and I felt like I was, on Saturday Night Live or something because he was funny. It's like I could ask a relatively humorous question, no big shakes here, and the crowd loved it. And I'm like, holy smokes, this is great because Al Franken was there, and everything he says is humorous in a variety of ways. So that was fun. Jimmy Carter was a great interview just because it's Jimmy Carter, and he was such a nice man. He listened to the questions, and you could tell he was paying attention, and you could tell the interview was important to him. And that was very, very refreshing.
What memories do you find at this stage, do you find that you enjoy most?
The most enjoyable part of my life has been since I left the White House. Of course, it was great to be president of the greatest country in the world and to have that authority and that power and influence. But I've had a much better life, I would say, during the 35 or so years since we left the White House. We have programs in 70 different countries in the world.
Ken Burns was a great interview, mostly because the first time I interviewed him, I could tell he wasn't necessarily all that interested in doing the interview. He probably gets tired of these sorts of things. By the end of the interview, he was talking, he was laughing, he was joking, and I could tell that he had a good time. And afterwards, he told me that he really, really enjoyed the interview. And to me, that's the best compliment. I'm proud that I have been able to keep the legacy of Horizon going on because I got here, and this was a pretty strong thing going here. Horizon had its place in the world, and I didn't want to mess that up. And I don't think I've messed it up, and I think I've kind of helped move it in certain ways to where it's even more, perhaps a more relevant and a stronger product. Perhaps we're still doing what Horizon has always done, and I hope that we continue to do so.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.